My name is Cheri. Welcome to my Stampin' Up! Studio. Today I'm going to have another card that is made from something new from our fabulous 2021 Stampin' Up! Catalog. I'm actually starting my 25th year with the company, so I've done more than 25 catalogs because you know we have 3 a year, and at one point we had two big catalogs a year, so there's been way more than 25 catalogs, and I have all of them. I don't keep the mini ones anymore. I just keep the big ones. Because I don't have enough space for all this stuff in my studio. But I'm going to make another card from this. I did want to remind you that if you are my customer and you've made any purchase with me, if you come to my classes at my house, you know you're going to get one when you show up. And I am going to have a class in June because, you know, we can be together in groups again in our state. If you purchase from me online and you've purchased anything since February, you'll get one soon. When I get mine, I'll be mailing them to you. If you haven't purchased with me since February, then just go to my website. I'll have all the links wherever you're watching this. You can find a link and make any size purchase, and that lets me know that you still are buying from me, because I know some of you buy from other demonstrators. So just make any size purchase and that will let me know that you need it. Plus, if you buy anything from me in May, my specials are, you get the catalog, you get my May online class, which is super fun. You're going to love this class, and it's free, and you get the supplies for 5 cards, and all of that information is on my website as well. But you do get that class for free. And you also get entry into our Facebook event that's coming up on the 22nd. And those are super popular. There's 6 of us that do events, and it's so much fun. And it is a giant sneak peek event. So you will want to be in on that, because the girls that stamp with me, they are all super, super talented. And we're all going to be doing sneak peek cards. So I did want to show you, if you haven't seen my last couple of cards, these are the ones that I've done so far new. So this one is a Taste of Textures, I think. So this one is actually at the end of my it was not really an unboxing. I did it different this year, and I think I'm going to stick to that format as opposed to just taking stuff out of the box, because I'd already taken it out due to COVID so I could wash my hands, and it was already stacked up, so it was a little less harried. And then this is the one that I did yesterday, and this is Jar of Flowers. So they're little shaker cards, and this is a little punch set. So this one's up. Then today, I have this laying here because I'm using the Birds and Branches bundle, but as you can see, I'm not actually using the stamps. So it's one of those stamp bundles where you don't necessarily have to have the stamps if you just want the dies, or you don't have to have the dies if you just want the stamps, because as the card ended up, I just used the dies. If there had been words, then I would have used the words, but I'm going to use words from the stamp, another new stamp set, because there are no words in this. And I thought about stamping the inside of the card, but I was done with creating the card last night and it was late, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do the inside of the card. So we could, maybe if we do this card at my camp in June, because I am having a new catalog camp in June. I don't have a date yet. So I've got really basic colors. I've just got Crumb Cake and then All Shimmer White. That's the only 2 colors that we're using. I did cut my cardstock long ways because at one point I thought I might tie some ribbon on it, and I wanted it this way, but it didn't need the ribbon. I liked the simplicity, kind of the natural look of the card. That was why I went with Crumb Cake. And then we're going to let the dies do most of the work with us. So I'm going to pull this over. You may have heard that we have a new die cutting system coming. It is in the new catalog, so you can see it in the new catalog, but it is going to be a little bit longer before you can actually order it. So this set has this really fun piece that will do a window for you. So just put this on here, kind of position it where you know you want your window on the front of your card to be. And I also try when I get the new, this is part of the reason I like to get a whole bunch of cards done before other people have them done, is because I want the cards to, I want to know that they're my cards, like that I didn't see the idea or come up with the idea anyplace else. So I haven't even, I try not to look at the catalog to see what they've done, which was part of my thing with the jar and the stems, because I wasn't quite sure how to use them. But here you can see. So I'm sure there are ways that you can use the stamps and the dies together, but I didn't look to see how the Stampin' Up! Artist did it. So you can see that makes a really pretty window. And then this piece here, I'm going to use to do the bird because it's shimmer white cardstock and I don't want to waste it. But the rest of it is all scrap. So let me get that off my plate. Now I'm going to try something on this one that I didn't do on my other card because these little pieces on him, they don't fall out, they stay in, but his eye fell out. So I'm going to take a piece of typing paper and stick that under there just to see if, so I don't lose his eye, because I lost his eye last time and then I had to look all around the table for it. I'm going to try to keep that. But that's too big of a piece of shimmer white cardstock to go to waste. And then we're going to use the branches. There's a whole bunch of other pieces in the die set. And if you don't have a catalog yet, if you're not a demonstrator, then after you watch this video, pop over to my website and I will have pictures of the dies. I put pictures of all of the stuff that I use on the card over there so you can see them, because I know you don't have a catalog and we can't show you the catalog pictures. And you know, all the new dies from Stampin' Up! Are fabulous. They just require one roll through. You don't need to go back and forth because that's not great for your plates. Every time you roll through it, put some more cut into your plate. And you just have to buy them more often. You don't want to break these though. And pop out. Little stems get stuck on each other. Here we go. Don't want to tear them. So we've got the stem. And then I'm hoping that this the typing paper back here is going to, see now my eye has stayed in because the typing paper is holding it there. So it cut through both fine. And then we have our front. So that's just a little tip for you. On my other one, all the other pieces stayed in except for the eye. And then I just had to go back through all these pieces like this and find out where the eye was. So here's the deal. At first I thought, well, I don't need an eye. He'll be okay without an eye. He can just have an empty circle. But then he looked, it was kind of an evil looking bird. It's like a zombie bird or something. I'm like, no, he needs his eye. So then to color this, we are going to take one of my favorite methods of coloring, and I'm going to switch the colors up on this one from the first card I did. So we'll see if we like these colors better, if we like the colors, my original colors. I wanted a nice, like I said, muted card, but they were a little bit too muted. So now I've gone a little bit darker, so we'll see if I've gone too dark, and we'll see what we like the best. I'm going to use our ink refills. These two colors I'm sticking with, and then our shimmer white paint. I did think about switching to the Champagne Mist paint because this also mutes the color, but since I've gone darker colors, we're gonna stay with this. So you wanna take a little bit of your ink refill, and here I had Soft Seafoam, which was light, and it's pretty, it's a pretty card, it's just a little bit muted. So you just need a tiny bit. You can see where I put them in yesterday. And then you just need to shake your lid and just grab a tiny, whatever's in the lid is all you're gonna need. And then this is an empty Stella. And I have so many empty Stellas. It's coming unscrewed. And I just save them all because you can use them forever. So you just wanna grab a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of this. And then you're just gonna brush this on the leaves. And you do, of course, want to make sure that you're working on some scrap paper. Yeah, I like this color is a little bit darker. I went back once I'd finished the card and it was all mounted, and I thought you can hardly see my leaves. You could, but they were just not quite as green as I wanted them once it was all mounted together. And so then I put a second coat of the Seafoam, which helped. But this is pear, so it's still a light green. But it's a light green with a little bit more color. And it doesn't take very long to paint these. So we got them there. And grab the ones on here. piece there didn't pop out. And it doesn't take any kind of special talent. You just brush over these. And as it comes off, it kind of gives it a shading, if you've not done this before. One of my favorite things to paint this way was the country, it's the embossing folder, the country something embossing folder, which is retiring. But I have a tutorial on how to paint the whole folder with this technique, and it's just stunning. But you can paint in designs, you can paint dies, you can paint stamps, you can paint folders. You can do the same thing by smushing the back of your stamp pad, but the shimmer paint does leave a little bit of a coating on the inside of your stamp pad, but it also dries very quickly. Okay, so then when you want to switch colors, you just get rid of that. And you can use a new Stella if that's all you have is a new Stella until you have an old Stella. But the color's a little bit different. It's the champagne mist color more. But then once you have old Stellas, just save them, because once you put the lid on here, this is crumb cake. You can just grab a little bit of this. But when you put the cap back on this, then it just keeps them. So the brush stays perfect and you can use it. It makes a great paintbrush. And then you don't have to spend money on paintbrushes because you already spent money on the Stella. So you might as well recycle. So just doing the stem here. Okay, so I finished those branches, and then I used Highland Heather to color in the little flower buds. And now we just have to do our bird. So move this out of the way. You can see it gives a really pretty shimmer effect, but it's still nice, and you can see what it's going to do on the back of the crumb cake. So let's grab our little bird who's still attached to his, but you can see his eyes precariously ready to fall out of this one. So I have to just be careful. So with the bird, I did a light wash of crumb cake on his wing. And then just a tiny bit of crumb cake like over the top of his beak, kind of around the edges. I didn't want I don't want the whole bird to be shimmer, but you do need that on there to kind of get that. And then a little bit just to give his feet some definition, because he's going to be standing on the shimmer white card. So he needs to have color on his edges so he doesn't just blend into the card. And then on my other card, I used Pool Party as my blue because I wanted a blue bird. And you know, you look at that pool party and it looks like a bird. So here's some Pacific Point, and I also have some Balmy Blue. But the pool party looked a little bit washed out. So I'm gonna try it this way. So we have two blues and we just need a tiny bit. So I'm gonna go with the Balmy Blue first. Maybe give a wash of it. Yes, this is much better. It's a nice spring blue. And again, just once you've kind of washed it off of your brush and there's just a little bit left, then you can go over his head with it. We're not going to do anything fancy like beat colors or, I mean, it's art. And then we ever so slightly try to get some of that Pacific Point because I know it's going to be dark. And give it a little bit of highlight. I didn't want to add beat colors or eye colors or any of that because it's a die cut bird. So for this one, when I do this stamp, like this stamp set, he looks a little, those birds look more realistic. So you can do a little bit more color as far as those goes. But for this, even a Pacific Point with the white shimmer paint. You can go a little bit darker than I thought you might be able to. So just kind of dab that on there. Yeah, he's gonna show up better than my other one did. The pool party just kind of got washed out. So that's all you need. So it doesn't take long at all to paint those. It dries super fast. If you've gotten ink in the top of your lid, which I didn't because I was careful, but if you do, just take a Q-tip or a tissue or something and wipe that out. So those are the colors. Get those out of the way. And then you can save this if you're gonna make more cards, or like at camp, we just keep reusing this, and then when you're done, just rinse it off in the sink. I mean, and it's just a drop of refill. You would never even know that I've dropped anything out of that. So then for this, because this set doesn't have any words, I went to Blossoms in Bloom and I pulled out the Happy Birthday. This is another new set and I will be using it in an upcoming video. In fact, it may be next or maybe not. It may be second next because I have the Forever Fern sitting here as well and I'm really eager to use that. So I'm just going to take the Happy Birthday, and it's in the Highland Heather, which are how I colored the little purple flowers. And just add that. This set's nice because it has lots of sentiments, like all of your regular sentiments, and none of them are in any kind of, except for I like you a lot. Most of the rest of them are just basic, I miss you, thinking of you, thank you, just basic words. So then I had this, and I'm going to show you a little tip or trick. It was kind of flat, and I wanted to run it through. Well, I'll tell you what I wanted to run it through. I wanted to run it through this new Tasteful textile because I just wanted something. I wanted something new. So if I wanted something old, then I would always run it through our linen, our subtle thing, to make it look like linen paper, because that's my go-to. And we've had it for a couple of years, and it's my go-to. I love it. But I thought, well, I'll do it through this because it's a little bit more than the Subtles embossing folder. But I forgot that I let my daughter take it. As I was looking for it, I'm like, where the heck did I lay it? I just got it. But my daughter's already borrowed it. So then my next thing was the Old World map. So this is the Old World map, and here is how it runs through. Like, it makes it look like old wrinkled map paper. And it's beautiful, but that's a lot. And I didn't want it to do that to this because that's too much. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to take this in here and you're just going to simply lay it in here. You want to make sure your paint's dry, but see, it's already dry. Don't put it in there when it's when it's wet. And then it's going to take just a little bit of muscle, not much, but you're just going to stand up because this is a super, super impression folder. And you're going to get just a tiny bit of a workout, but just press. Kind of hard, but not super hard because you don't want it to, I don't want it to ruin my pattern. And then I thought, like, if I took this, I tried a couple of different things, but I don't think it really mattered. Like, if you have an old brayer, the rubber brayer, that might work, but I don't even think it needed it. Because see, it gives you just enough of the pattern that it's no longer flat paper. And you can open it and see if there's any place that you missed. And I mostly just kind of wanted the corners. Like, I don't care if this thing, like, you can totally, because you're doing it by hand, you can totally avoid your flowers getting smushed. So just kind of go for the edges. And that's the nice thing about these folders that are super, super raised up. And this is a really raised up one. So see, now we've got nice pattern. I'll show you the difference. I hope you can see that. Like, it's got pattern, and the shimmer cardstock always picks it up nicely. As opposed to the crunched up pattern. See, this is what it would have done if I'd run it through the folder. But this way it just gave it just enough that our paper is no longer flat, but it didn't crunch it up. Because if this had gone through these, I'm afraid it would have mashed them. And I didn't want it to look mashed. I just wanted it to have a little bit of a pattern. So now we just have to stick this together. And like I said, I thought about tying some ribbon around it, but when it was all said and done, I liked it just the way it was. So you're going to take some adhesive, which we're getting new adhesive. You may have heard. Which direction do I? So I want to put the adhesive over here, just a little bit of adhesive right here. And I'm going to take these leaves, and again, they can stick, so just be careful. And I just want those to hold. And if you have fuse, then it will hold them. I'm not sure that snail will, so you might have to use green glue or just a piece of tape or something there. But our new system will have a fuse replacement. So now you can see these are kind of going out and up. So then I'm going to take, I want it to be nice and raised up. Fuse is super sticky, and our new system will go back to having a fuse alternative. So I'm going to take 4 dimensionals and put them 1 in each corner. And if you watched my migraine med-induced video, then with the jars, you realize that sometimes when you have that, you forget to take the backs off your dimensionals, but it does help. Otherwise, they don't stick. So now just stick another one on the top of these, and that'll get just a little bit more lift because we want this window to really pop. And the funny thing is you would think that twice as much is really noticeable, but it's not. It's a subtle difference. In fact, if you do this at a class or something, sometimes you have to point out to people that they need to do it because it's not super noticeable. So now just put this on here and center it. My card is not 4 5 1/4. It's a 1/4 inch bigger than that because I wanted it to show. So now you're going to take some glue dots. Where did I lay them? Here? Because you don't want this piece here flipping around, but you also want to give it some dimension. So I took a glue dot, and for these back here, I want those flat, so it also will, so you'll notice. Okay, trying to do it so you guys can see, but then I can't see. So kind of lift this one up. Because when this one's flat to the back, it'll be a little bit more noticeable, and it also won't tear. So that one's flat down there. And then this one here, and make sure that you get this whole little branch here up and above this. So I'm going to take our tiny dimensionals. And take the back off of this before you do it, because you're going to stick it under that leaf, and it's easier to just stick it at once. I can hear the birds outside. So part of the reason I had a migraine is because mine are weather induced, and it has been, on the weekend it was in the 80s, and tomorrow night it's going to be in the 20s. So all of the stuff that we planted, we didn't plant our garden because we did know it was coming. But my windows aren't open because it's gone from being nice and beautiful and summery to not. But I do know that some of you in the south and the northeast are supposed to get snow. We're not going to get snow, but it is going to be cold. And then next week's supposed to be back to spring. So this time of year can play havoc with mine. So then let's decide, do we want, so you can see how now I'm just kind of building up. I think I'm going to put that one flat. So let's take one more glue dot because it's kind of sticking on those right there. I'm gonna fold that over so it doesn't, so I don't get a gubby sticking out. Stick that there. Make sure that these are up over the top. So now we have a little bit of dimension, and then we're going to take our bird, and I am going to pull him off of his typing paper now because you don't want it to come unattached at some point when the person has it. But see, I've lost his eye, but now I know where it is. Because the last time I stuck him on the card and then I had zombie bird and I didn't like zombie bird. Let's stick him here. I'm going to take his eye and just stick it back in his eye pop. Is that a word? You can see it separated from the typing paper on there. But I know if you've used our alphabets, you know, the die cut alphabets, anytime that you have these little apostrophes or the tops of your letters that get lost, you feel like you can spend forever looking for them. So I was like, I'm not gonna do this again. And you hate to run another whole letter or another whole bird just to get this piece back. But he looks so much more complete when he has his eye. Not so scary. So I felt like it still needed a little bit of something else. And there's probably some new embellishments coming. And I thought about adding some of these, but none of these are the new in colors and none of these are the new in colors. And they just weren't quite the right color. The cinnamon was close, but it was a little bit too much brown. So I went with some champagne rhinestones because the champagne is a nice, shiny, neutral. So just add some of these. And just kind of wherever your card, like every time you stamp it, these are going to be in a different place than my first one. Because every time you work with die cuts and you stamp, my happy birthday is a little bit lower on this one than it was on the other one. And be generous because they're beautiful. And you know, at least 3, because you can't have an even number of, you have to have 3 or 5 if you have an even number of these on your card, unless it's a pattern or on like flowers or something, then your eye doesn't know where to go. So it has to be an even number. I mean, an odd number, sorry. So there we've got 5. Oh, that looks good. So there you go. I'll show you the lighter colors. I do like this bird a lot better. This thing, I think I pressed a little harder because I wasn't on camera. The green's a little bit, the green's not bad. Either green I could go with, but the bird, I do like the bird a lot better. You can see this one has a little bit more of the impression because I did press harder because nobody was watching. This one, the other pieces didn't fall out, but you can see the faux eye that I put in there. It keeps popping out because it's not the right size because I never found the right eye. Obviously, that's not the right eye. I could pull it out, but yeah. So don't lose your eyes. There's a tip for you. So I hope you enjoy that. I will be back. I'm going to try to film a couple of things today so I can keep them posting over the weekend. We'll see how I go. I also have real work that has to be done, but doing this is so much more fun than my real work. So everybody have a great day. Remember, if you want a catalog, I hope to get them and ship them out towards the end of next week. Cross our fingers. Hopefully mine will ship out today from Stampin' Up! And that would mean that I would have them in time to ship to you towards the end of next week. Just place any size order on my website and that will let me know that you want one. And my link is everywhere. So just go to my blog and that link should be someplace and then you can find it. Have a great day. Bye.